Alright guys, so today is Monday, August 1st, 2022. Today marks 68 days I have left to finish my 55 for a class reunion coming up October. So it's pretty amazing. I started out with I think 80 days and I'm already down to 68. Now, it rained Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So I didn't get any work done. This garage is packed full. There's no room in here to come in here and work, and it's not that well lit either, so trying to lap valves in the dark in here would be almost impossible. Well, it would be possible, but you get what I'm saying. It's just, I'm not going to mess with it. It's too dark in here, and there's no space. So today, no rain, luckily. Bad thing is the grass is really tall already. We needed the rain. We absolutely needed the rain. Everything was, you know, the yard was half dead anyway. But anyway, so today's plan, I guess I'm going to go ahead and get on the valves here. Try to get those finished lapped and try to get them assembled, I guess. I don't know if I can do that in a full day. It's probably going to be 2 days of that stuff, but that's what I'm kind of hoping, is to get those done within 2 days, finished, assembled, and ready for paint. So, man, I feel way behind after having that many days of rain in a row. So, kind of sucks. Tomorrow is my 30-year wedding anniversary. I got married when I was 19 years old. So, that's kind of awesome. 30 years. So, I guess I'll clean up a little bit in here because it is pretty nasty. So I'm going through here and cleaning up these valves 2 at a time, for, you know, chamber at a time basically. And this is the intake valve for this one. Cleaned it up on the wire wheel. Look how pitted this thing is. It's even got pitting on the back. I have never seen that before. I'm kind of amazed. I don't know if that's pitting or if something went through there. I don't know. Looks like a bunch of pingers right there, but none of the others. It almost looks like a 2 though. I don't know. Anyway, the rest of them, they don't have that in them. This is the only one that looks that bad. So I'm about to dig through my boxes of stuff, and I think I've got some old valves in there. Hopefully they're not grooved out. But anyway, I need to basically change a valve. Alright guys, so after having, you know, 3 or 4 days of rain, moisture got in the air and it rusted my cylinder heads again. So I'll have to try to clean these up again. But anyway, today I was, you know, going to lap these valves in, which I'm still going to try to do. But one thing that I wanted to check was the valve springs. Now I'm going to reuse some original used valve springs for this hydraulic flat tappet cam. In case you do not know, this is straight out of the words from a Comp Cams tech on the phone. On a hydraulic flat tappet cam, their recommendation is to use stock used valve springs, or take the center valve spring out of your stiffer springs. Like if you get a match set for your bigger cam, take the center valve spring out for 500 miles to break the cam in. So, you know, failure to do that will flatten out a hydraulic flat tappet cam. Straight from Comp Cams, you can argue if you want. So anyway, this is stock valve springs that were in here, in these heads. Now when I was taking this cylinder head here apart, one of the center valve springs was broken in half. It was still in there, but it was broken in half, so I threw it away. So I only had 7 valve springs left, and I was just going to dig one out of my box over there of head parts and put in there. I've got a lot of stock 350 Chevy head stuff here. So the funny thing is, when I put them up here on this, look at the height difference in that. That is not good. That is not what you want to see. So some of these springs have collapsed. So yeah, this would cause the engine not to run 100% for sure. So these are going in the garbage. These are absolutely junk. So I've got another set of heads here, 350 heads, and I'm going to pull all the valve springs out of them, and I'm going to check them on here and see if they're all the same height and look them over real good. And if they're they look like they're going to work, then I'll put them in degreaser and clean them up. But these are garbage. Those are supposed to be the same height. So that was an interesting find. Now these cylinder heads have been rebuilt at a machine shop, and they had shims under them. So I will reinstall the shims. But anyway, that's just kind of an interesting thing there. I haven't checked this side. This is for the other cylinder head. I haven't checked those valve springs yet, but I'm assuming they're going to be in the same condition. Those are going to go in the trash. But anyway, I had one valve that I am not happy with. This is the only valve out of all those that look like this, and I can't explain it. There's spots in this that looks like something got dropped down the carburetor maybe. But then again, it just kind of looks like pitting. I don't understand it, but both sides is just garbage. So I don't want to use this valve. So now I can buy a brand new one at the parts store down here. It's like $9. I've already called and checked on it, but they do have to order it in. But I told him I would call him back because I've got so many valves laying around here. I've taken apart a lot of cylinder heads since the 90s, and I've got 2 big totes full of cylinder head stuff, and rocker arms and push rods and all kinds of stuff. But I had another valve here that's a 194. It measured the same height. I'm sure it's out of another 882 head. But I had a pair of 882s at one time about 15 or 20 years ago that were cracked. So I just disassembled all the stuff and kept it, but I threw the heads away. But anyway, I've got this valve here, and the face side of it's in good shape. It's got a nice edge to it. It feels straight pretty much. So I'm going to try lapping it in to see what it does. But if your valves, when you take them apart, another thing to check, if you're going to try to rebuild your cylinder head yourself, another thing to check is to see if they have a groove in them. Like I can see a little bit of a line across here, but I don't feel it with my fingernail. These will get a groove wore in them when they're high mileage, and you know, for a home lap job, it's not going to work out for you too good. But anyway, luckily for me, these had been done fairly recent at a machine shop, but I don't know why they didn't replace that one valve. They probably felt it was okay, but I just don't like it. You know, it's a part, and I've got another valve here, so that's why I'm thinking about changing it. So anyway, so that's where I'm at. Just kind of going over everything and making sure everything's good. But I thought I would show them valve springs. That's a pretty interesting height difference right there. But those are absolutely trash. I cannot use those. All right, guys. So I've got all of them lapped except the bottom one here. This one, after I wiped it off, it's still got a little line area right here. So I'm going to go back and hit it one more go around here, lapping it in with coarse to make sure I get that nice smooth line through there. So fine grit compound, or lapping compound, it's a little bit too soft to try to clean these up and get them uniform. So I'm going in here with coarse and doing this. Now, somebody was saying in the comments that it's going to change the install height and do all kinds of stupid stuff, and I guess they literally think I'm taking a bench grinder to these things and grinding them down. That is absolutely not true. I've got the drill set on a low speed setting. Now if I had that on a high speed setting and I sat there for probably 5 minutes grinding on that, it would probably work a groove that would catch your fingernail on the sides of these valves. So don't do that. Make sure when you're lapping these, you do them on low speed. Now I covered this in detail in one of my videos from a few months ago. So I am going to do these myself. You need to make sure you don't have a lot of slop in your valves. Make sure your valves don't have a lot of slap side to side in them. If they are, they're going to need, you know, rebuilt by a machine shop. But as I stated, these cylinder heads are, you know, not too bad off from having the machine work done to them last time. So they're in pretty good shape. I don't have any grooves in my valves, so it just doesn't take much to freshen them back up. Now I'm using white assembly grease on the valve stem to put it in there, because you do not want to use a drill dry. Don't put your valve stem in there dry. So I put a little bit of white grease on there so it does have lubrication. Anyway, stick it in there and kind of work it a little bit. And then at that point I'll pull it out and put the compound on there. I like to put it on my finger like that. Just kind of do this number. And as I'm turning it, I'm getting it on there, you know what I mean? And again, if you sat here for a long time doing this, you would end up with some grooved valves. So, you know, pay attention. Low speed setting for sure. And again, don't super clamp on your drill to that valve, because it'll mark up that valve, and when you go to pull the valve out, it'll gouge your valve guide. And the other thing I don't do is pull like crazy tension on the drill, you know, that direction, trying to really get that valve worked into that head. I'm just barely putting any tension on there. One of them deals that I've always said, I do things my way. Everybody's different. I don't have a few $100s in my pocket to take these to a machine shop, because I know it's not going to be a few hundred. Cylinder heads anymore are expensive. That's why most people buy aftermarket aluminum heads. It's not that much more. I've got a nice gray line here that doesn't catch my fingernail. Now if you went out that crazy and kept going and going and going and going with high speed and coarse compound, it'll end up grooving this valve out. It'll have a dimple in it. You'll be able to feel that with your fingernail. Alright. So what I'll do is I'll go back and I'll blow this out with carburetor cleaner, the valves and the heads, clean everything out real good. So pretty much get rid of any traces of coarse compound, and then I will switch to fine compound and go back and do it. And I'll do the same thing. I'll put a little bit of grease on the valve. That's why it takes me several days to rebuild a set of heads. It takes a lot of time. And I really look at that seat on the color and the way it looks. And this one is just not done enough. I've got a good line on the valve, but it's just not, it just needs just another little go at it, which doesn't take long. This is not one of them things I enjoy doing, but it does save a lot of money. Probably all that's going to need. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Well, now it's time to clean everything up and go to fine compound and start all over. So I got my valve springs soaking in degreaser still, and I might be able to assemble this head tomorrow actually. It's pretty awesome. Kind of sucks I surface rusted from our 4 days of rain we had, but it doesn't surprise me. I mean, they were raw clean metal, so you know, it's not going to take much to get it to surface rust. Look at that, how rusty that is. So I'll go back at it with wire wheels and clean them back up again. But it's going to take a few days. Really probably no sense in doing any more videos for a couple of days because I'll be working on cylinder heads. But as soon as these are done and assembled, I can move on to painting them. And that will definitely be a good change for a video, but I just don't see the point in doing video after video of cylinder head rebuild because I've done several sets in the last 6 months, 7 months, I don't even remember. Thanks for watching.